How vast is the tabernacle of the cause of God. It hath overshadowed all the peoples and kindreds of the earth, and will ere long gather together the whole of mankind beneath its shelter. The day of service is now come. Arise for the triumph of my cause, and through the power of thine utterance, subdue the hearts of men. Thou must show forth that which will ensure the peace and the well-being of the miserable and the downtrodden. Let your vision be world-embracing. Let your vision be world-embracing. Let your vision be world-embracing. Oh, oh. It is incumbent upon every man in this day to hold fast unto whatsoever will promote the interests and exalt the station of all nations and just governments. Through each and every one of the verses which the pen of the Most High hath revealed, the doors of love and unity have been unlocked and flung open to the face of men. We have erewhile declared, and our word is the truth. Consort with the followers of all religions in a spirit of friendliness and fellowship. Let your vision be world-embracing. Let your vision be world-embracing. Let your vision be world-embracing. Oh, oh. You know, as he plays this, I think it would be nice if we could try to sing that chorus together. I'll admit I'm used to singing it alone, but I'm sure we could kind of do it in a unison kind of way. Maybe smooth it out a little bit. So I'd like you to try and sing along with me. Let your vision be world-embracing. 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 Let's do it again. Let your vision be world-embracing. Let your vision be world-embracing. Let Let your vision be world embracing. Let your vision be world embracing. I'm gonna go to a verse. O people of justice, be as brilliant as the light, and as splendid as the fire that blazed in the burning bush. The brightness of the fire of your love will no doubt fuse and unify the contending peoples and kindreds of the earth. Whilst the fierceness of the flame of enmity and hatred cannot but result in strife and ruin, we beseech God that he may shield his creatures from the evil designs of his enemies. He verily hath power over all things. Let your vision be world embracing. 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 Let's do it again. Let your vision be world embracing. Let your vision be world embracing. Let your vision be world embracing. Oh, oh. And then in the end, Baha'u'llah says, watch over yourselves, for the evil one is lying in wait, ready to entrap you. Gird yourselves against his wicked devices, and led by the light of the name of the all-seeing God, make your escape from the darkness that surroundeth you. Let your vision be world-embracing, rather than confined to your own cell. These are the words of Baha'u'llah. Let your vision be world embracing. Let your vision be world embracing. Let your vision be world embracing. Everybody say oh now. Let your oh, and again. Oh, oh, oh. I keep holding that string too hard. I should have brought the electric.
All right, wonderful.
I told you that was going to be hard on this guitar, man.
Wonderful.
Anyway.
All right, friends. What's that? Okay, there we go. That's what I was going to say. Is we've got one more piece of art at the moment, but I want to have somebody that's under 18 come up and do something either before or after this. We're going to get on time, but we want to do this. So come on up, Maria. Chronologically. We want young people.
You made me taller. Okay. This is Faith is a poem that was written by Amatul Baha Ruhia Khanum on April 4th, 1954. To walk where there is no path, to breathe where there is no air, to see where there is no light. This is faith. To cry out in the silence of the night, and hearing no echo, believe and believe again and again. This is faith. To hold pebbles and see jewels, to raise sticks and see forests, to smile with weeping eyes. This is faith. To say, God, I believe when others deny, I hear. When there is no answer, I see, though not to see. This is faith. And the fierce love in the heart, the savage love that cries, hidden thou art yet there. Veil thy face and mute thy tongue. Yet I see and hear thee, love. Beat me down to the bare earth, yet I rise and love thee, love. This is faith.
That's a great way to get into our next segment here. We want to thank Daryl and Tony, and hopefully they'll be back later. We're going to have a group photo a little bit later, but after that, we're going to do more of this. So, well, do we have somebody that wants to do it? All right, we do. Okay, now this time, Tony, Daryl, as well as Carlos, are you going to help? You're going to assist? Oh, wonderful.
O thou kind Lord, these lovely children are the handiwork of the fingers of thy might and the wondrous signs of thy greatness. O God, protect these children, graciously assist them to be educated and enable them to render service to the world of humanity. O God, these children are pearls, cause them to be nurtured within the shell of thy loving kindness. Thou art the bountiful, the all-loving Abdul Baha.
O God, guide me, shining lamp, brilliant star, mighty and the powerful.
Of course, with prayer, we're not supposed to applaud, but we do want to applaud their courage. All right, so we are now ready to get into the next section. So are the youth staying here with us? Okay, so the youth and teachers and children, thank you very much for being here and being part of this. And junior youth, thank you very much. So I'll put that on there so everyone will have to have a chair.
Okay, the only problem with that is I have to see that stream.
Oh. Okay, friends, thank you very much. We are just about ready to begin with the other portion, the next portion. Does someone want to introduce this next section? Are we having someone introduce this? Okay, this is, okay.
With a heart full of joy and gladness, I greet and welcome all the beloved friends who are assembled here for the purpose of celebrating the most great jubilee.
In this room, you have people from all the continents of the world. You have people from so many tribal backgrounds, so many religious backgrounds. This is a religion of love.
In 1963, the Universal House of Justice began to guide the Baha'i community through a series of plans following the pattern set by Shoghi Effendi. During the next decades, with enthusiasm and dedication, the Baha'is continued to carry Baha'u'llah's vision of the oneness of humanity to all corners of the globe. Artistic expression flourished in the sharing of the teachings. Music, dance, and drama touched hearts and attracted souls. Spearheading this movement were the youth. Drawing on the power of prayer and inspired by the young heroines and heroes of the faith, they enthusiastically arose to play a vital part in this spiritual enterprise.
In a beautiful land, the sea, the sky.
It's the race for time, the place
To see we're one family, it's the human race.
In some parts of Asia, Africa, and Latin America, hundreds of thousands of people embraced the faith. It was during this period that the first head of state, Maletoa Tanumafili II of Samoa, became a Baha'i. Over a period of 30 years, the number of national assemblies tripled to 174, further building the administrative order that Shoghi Effendi had raised, and strengthening the foundation upon which Baha'u'llah's vision of a world-embracing civilization could be realized. As the faith became increasingly established, Baha'is began to apply Baha'u'llah's teachings to the social and economic needs of the societies in which they lived, giving rise to thousands of grassroots initiatives across the world. Hundreds of sustained projects in education, health, literacy, and agriculture were born. Numerous Baha'i-inspired development organizations emerged for the welfare and prosperity of all. Such initiatives were first set in motion by Abdul Baha in Iran, with the establishment of schools for both girls and boys, the creation of clinics, and the encouragement of programs aimed at social and economic prosperity. To this day, the Baha'is of Iran, despite ongoing relentless persecution, have exhibited extraordinary resilience, love, courage, and heroism, and continue to contribute to the advancement of the social, spiritual, and material well-being of their homeland and peoples. By the 1990s, the ethnic and cultural diversity of the Baha'i community worldwide was greatly enriched and its character transformed.
The fundamental spiritual truth of our age is the oneness of humanity.
The faith had become increasingly recognized in national and international forums, and was now the second most geographically widespread religion in the world. As a result of this rapid growth, many challenges arose. Having large numbers of people embracing the Baha'i teachings did not in itself build a vibrant community life. Resources were overwhelmed in trying to sustain the deepening of hundreds of thousands of people in the revelation of Baha'u'llah. And as the diversity of people entering the faith or engaging in its activities expanded, the need for processes that build unity became more and more apparent. Ingrained prejudices, inherited over countless generations, required conscious and concerted efforts to be remedied. Many questions arose. How can women be given an equal voice in an unbalanced world dominated by men? How are the educational needs of large numbers of children to be systematically addressed? How do local assemblies administer to the needs of rapidly growing communities? What would be the nature of the educational effort that would raise capacity to address these urgent challenges? This launched the Baha'i world into a process of intense learning, where many new strategies, methods, and approaches were tested. The institution of the counselors played a crucial role in navigating this process. This institution was created by the Universal House of Justice to extend the functions of the hands of the cause of God. Through it, a system now exists by which lessons learned in one place can be quickly analyzed and shared with the entire Baha'i community, enriching global consultations, stimulating sustained action, building capacity and inspiring confidence. Today, the International Teaching Center, together with the Continental Board of Counselors and their auxiliaries, continues to stimulate and advance this flow of learning. In the Tablet of Carmel, Baha'u'llah revealed the charter for the development of the world's spiritual and administrative center of the faith. In 1996, the Baha'i community had reached a turning point. Following years of experience gained at the grassroots of the community in certain areas of the world, the Universal House of Justice called for the establishment of a network of training institutes, an instrument of limitless potentialities. This set in motion a process to raise capacity within every population, to take charge of its own spiritual, social, and material progress. The Baha'i community had now entered a new stage in its learning and development.
नमस्ते आशा। शायद अब समय आ गया कि मैं सीखूं कि कैसे सीखते हैं। मैं समीक्षा बैठक में आऊंगी। मैं जानना चाहती हूँ कि दूसरों ने क्या सीखा है और हाँ, मुझे अपने अनुभव बांटने में भी खुशी होगी। किसे पता, शायद मैं अपनी प्रार्थना सभाएं फिर से शुरू कर सकूं। कल मिलते हैं। बाय।
¡Qué precioso!
A los niños les va a encantar. ¡Hola! ¡Hasta mañana!
Si alguien me hubiera dicho hace 6 meses que estaría sentada aquí haciendo flores de papel para una clase de niños en mi barrio, no les habría creído. Honestamente, antes de conocer a los Baha'is, no tenía experiencia enseñando a los niños. Y nunca pensé que podría ofrecer algún servicio en mi barrio.
Es maravilloso que estés ayudando con la clase. Y es genial que podamos preparar nuestras clases juntos.
Sí, absolutamente. Desde que empezamos estas reuniones regulares, me han surgido muchas ideas nuevas para mi propia clase. Por cierto, ¿cómo planeas hacer la memorización esta vez?
¿Quizás con gestos?
¿En serio? ¿Tienen que memorizar una cita otra vez? Bueno, lo que quiero decir es que para algunos de ellos no es fácil. Incluso a mí me cuesta memorizar citas en mi círculo de estudio. Dejémoslo. Podríamos explicar la cita y luego pasar a la historia. Les encanta esa parte.
A los niños les encantan las historias, es verdad. He pensado mucho sobre por qué memorizamos los escritos sagrados. Podríamos simplemente leer la cita, pero en realidad no permanece en nuestras mentes. Nuestros pensamientos influyen sobre nuestras acciones. Así que cuando memorizamos estas palabras, se convierten en un hábito en nuestra mente. Y es más probable que se expresen en acción.
Es cierto. Cuando comienzo a perder la paciencia, recuerdo que una lengua amable es el imán del corazón de los hombres.
Sí, hay un poder en la palabra de Dios. Tiene una influencia creativa en el mundo del ser. Abre nuestro corazón y puede transformarnos. Mira esto.
At the heart of all the courses of the Training Institute is the creative word. As people participate in these courses, they deepen their understanding of the Baha'i teachings and develop the capacity to meet the spiritual and material needs of their villages and neighborhoods. The concept of the Training Institute is not something new. Abdul Baha himself had referred to the training of teachers of the faith in the tablets of the Divine Plan. He also encouraged regular study classes to prepare teachers of the faith in Iran. Over the past 25 years, more and more people have been participating in the Institute process, giving rise to vibrant and purposeful new communities. All are welcome. There is a new understanding of the relationships between the individual, the institutions, and the community, and how their roles are complementary in building a better world. individuals see themselves as protagonists of change, responsible for their own spiritual growth, while at the same time contributing to the development of society. Institutions seek to nurture, encourage, and guide, creating an environment of trust and support. At the heart of these vibrant communities are service and worship. These two essential and inseparable aspects of life are wed together in the institution of the Mashah al-Azkar, the dawning place of the praise of God, a reality described by Abdul Baha as one of the most vital institutions in the world. The house of worship, a place for prayer and meditation, is to be surrounded by humanitarian institutions, such as schools, hospitals, and orphanages, that serve the population around it. The first house of worship was built in 1908 in Ashgabat, Turkmenistan. In 2016, the world witnessed the completion of the last continental house of worship in Santiago, Chile. Since then, local and national temples have begun to be built in different parts of the world, serving as beacons of light, illuminating the planet. In areas where the Training Institute is firmly rooted, social action efforts are emerging. These efforts, aimed at material progress, are based on applying spiritual principles to improve social conditions. They are the result of a growing collective consciousness of the social, spiritual, and material needs of society, as well as a desire to contribute to an ever-advancing civilization. In 2018, due to the vast amount of learning generated, and in order for this area of endeavor to flourish, the Universal House of Justice created the new institution of the Baha'i International Development Organization at the Baha'i World Center. The capacities built in the arena of social action are also enriching the participation of Baha'is in prevalent discourses of society. From the local to the national to the international level, Baha'is are engaging community leaders, organizations, and government agencies in a range of topics of significance to the life of society, including the equality of women and men, the movement of peoples and integration, poverty alleviation, the elimination of racial prejudice, and environmental and sustainable development. Through the establishment of 5 offices of the Baha'i International Community, the experiences of the global Baha'i community are being shared with multiple international organizations. Chief amongst these is the United Nations, where the Baha'i International Community has consultative status with UNESCO and UNICEF, contributing to policy discourses at the global level. Nearly 100 years ago, Shoghi Effendi spoke of the society-building power inherent in the faith, a power that can regenerate the individual and rebuild a broken world. Today, the stirrings of this power can be seen in the social transformation taking place across the world, where people are striving to translate Baha'u'llah's teachings into action. Prevailing habits, customs, and modes of expression begin to change, and even aspects of culture begin to advance. This is an outward manifestation of an even more profound inner transformation, affecting many souls.
Esto es increíble. Ahora entiendo cómo nuestra clase de niños encaja en el contexto más amplio.
Exactamente. Y por muy pequeña que sea nuestra clase, está contribuyendo a un bien común.
Cuéntame más sobre este cambio de cultura.
Una de las evidencias que veo es en la manera en que se están redefiniendo las relaciones. Nuestra relación con el Creador, entre nosotros e incluso con la tierra. Por ejemplo, en localidades donde el proceso de instituto está floreciendo, la relación entre mujeres y hombres está cambiando. Juntos están trabajando para desafiar prejuicios profundamente arraigados y costumbres injustas.
Donde antes veíamos una cultura de opresión, hoy vemos surgir una cultura de igualdad. Y las mujeres están a la vanguardia de la transformación de la sociedad.
Quisiera mostrarte algo.
It is a story almost as old as time itself. Even before she was born, they tried to make her disappear like a magic trick. But her presence was noted, if only in her absence. When she was born, instead of sharing sweets, they shared ribbon-tied bags of sorrow. And when she received the smallest, the least, and the last, or often none at all. Food, comfort, education, respect. If she went to school, she had to be careful to not learn too much, to not speak too much, to not be seen too much. She must not take up too much space. She must make herself smaller and smaller, fold herself into shapes that are quiet, restrained, contained. Learn that her own body is not a safe house for her soul. But now, with this new revelation, a new story is being written. A story that unravels all the stories of the past. A story where women stand side by side with men. Even before she is born, there is celebration for the anticipation of a brand new soul. When she is born, the family, the village, the city, the nation rejoice. She will receive food, comfort, education, respect. She will go to school. She has so much to learn, to understand, to speak of, to teach. She will grow and she will grow. She will breathe and she will dream. And she will do and she will know that her voice is powerful. She will arise. She will unfold from shapes that are quiet, restrained, contained, until her family, her village, her city, her nation too will blossom.
Today, after a full century of collective efforts, we are beginning to see the treasures of wisdom hidden in Abdu'l-Baha's will and testament and the tablets of the divine plan. Millions of women and men are turning their hearts to the example of Abdu'l-Baha and are striving to follow in his footsteps. Little by little, day by day, they seek to align their inner and outer lives with the teachings of Baha'u'llah and are consciously working towards building a prosperous and peaceful global civilization.
It's incredible what's been achieved in 100 years.
I wonder what the next 100 years will look like.
Well, that depends on us.
We all have a part to play.
Our actions will influence the future.
I guess I shouldn't give up on my junior youth group.
And you with your children's class.
And me with this study circle.
You have written the story of the unfoldment of the divine plan on the scroll of its first century. Before you, beloved friends, lies stretched out the blank scroll of the future, on which you and your spiritual descendants will inscribe fresh and lasting deeds of renunciation and heroism for the betterment of the world.
The end of the film.
Yes. How wonderful was that? That was rehearsed, doesn't it? So if that much is possible in 100 years,
Wow.
let us imagine what is possible in the next 100. It made me think it wasn't exactly 100 years ago, but does anybody know when women got the right to vote in America? The year? 1920. 1920. So just over 100 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Baha'u'llah passed away. He ascended in 1892. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Does anyone know how many countries allowed women to vote in 1892? Zero. Yeah. Just came to my mind when we were watching the last portion there.
Wow. We've come a long way, and yet we have so much further to go. And the beauty of it is that everyone in this room will contribute to the betterment of humanity and can play a role. We are all protagonists, and we can become more and more effective protagonists. So we'll have a few more minutes to reflect on this half of the film. Again, anything that moved you, what messages you got from it, how can we apply it to the work going forward?
And was this the half of the film where the young woman said, maybe it's time to learn how to learn? Is that, what a great
Isn't that-
concept.
it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah,
It's
that's what
beautiful.
we're all doing here this weekend.
Yes, we are now.
Thank you.
Constantly remind ourselves that we're in a state of a humble posture of learning, that we're learning. We are not coming with answers. There's some things that we know what we know, but we know what we don't know as well too.
So what comments on this second half of the film? Yes. Baha'is? Are Baha'is being persecuted in the Middle East and Africa like Christians? Good question. Yeah.
But certainly the Baha'is in Iran, who've always been persecuted. Baha'is are not in Yemen, are being persecuted, not their businesses are being destroyed, the sacred places are being desecrated, Baha'is are in prison summarily. Children and students are, so the Baha'is are not, yes.
But North Africa, I'm not sure. Does he need a mic?
Yeah, okay. Well, in Morocco, where I was born, I grew up in a Baha'i family, and I was always told not to talk about the Baha'i faith openly because there was no freedom. And even during those years that I was growing up, we had feasts, we had all of the holidays and everything, but the holidays were very limited in terms of number of participants because of the government restrictions. Some of the Baha'is were imprisoned in 1963, and same thing happened in Egypt. It was a wave of persecutions at that time, and coming all the way from Iran, is spread all the way to Morocco. The influence got over there. With the intervention of the United Nations, they were released, but then there was
sentence of death. That's their sentence.
right without trial. So, but and then in 1983 there was another wave of persecutions from the government coming, but then no imprisonments happened at that time. But then throughout the years, the Baha'is had to report their activities to the government, and just for the sake of transparency, to gain that confidence that there's no political agenda, that the Baha'is they don't get involved with the politics and things like that. So to gain that confidence and from the government. So throughout all of those years, the situation has gotten much better. And lately, we had a meeting with the National Spiritual Assembly of Morocco. All of the Moroccan Baha'is that left Morocco were invited to that meeting, and we had a Zoom meeting last year. And that was an invitation to come back to Morocco and serve, because there's more freedom, there's more, we can practice more openly, we can teach the faith in Morocco. So that was a message, a good message, that, you know, there is more freedom for the Moroccan Baha'is over there. So
Thank you, Yassine. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Other reflections regarding the this portion of the film? Anything that touched you, moved you, inspired you, generated a thought? Yeah, Pam.
Sleep, so I might ramble. Just, you know, cut me off. I have to say, I one of the things that I find disturbing is that we had to hear that whole thing about women. Still. I mean, I'm so old, I don't even want to tell you how old I am. But it's exhausting. And so we have to, you know, what I've listened to other people talk about, refueling, praying and all. I am so tired of the women trying to become equal. And the women in America, that's nothing compared to what women are still going through worldwide. And the single most oppressed group of humans on the planet are women. Not this race, not that race or religion, it's women, which is crazy. So when Baha'u'llah talks about the equality of women and men, it's a huge, that alone is such a huge principle. Stop there.
Excellent, Pamela.
And how blessed we are that we have the manifestation of God that comes and says that we are as the wings of one bird, that in order for that bird to fly, both wings need to be healthy. So there's an expressed, you know, declaration of that, that oneness. And we have the opportunity to help to bring that into being. Yes. Yes.
I was going to say what Pam said. It proves that without spiritual principles, you cannot change society. You cannot have social action that's successful in the world without this spiritual framework. And that is what we are working on. So not until equality of men and women is realized, you can actually have a successful social action.
Say something briefly. We were traveling, and when we traveled first, we teach the faith. And I was teaching about equality of men and women, and this woman pretty much said it clearly. She said, "Why are we still talking about this? Every man has been inside of a woman for 9 months. There should have been equality because since birth of the first son." So, you know, that's actually a very good point, because in this world, you know, we always live walking behind the man, or always voting for someone of a male figure instead of a female figure. And they're always putting down the female figure when she is being voted or she's going against a male. But every man is inside of a woman for 9 months being nurtured. So, you know, equality should have happened right there.
Yeah.
And we'll just take a few more minutes because we came back a little bit late from lunch. So we're quite eager to stay on track. So a few more minutes and then we'll move to the next section.
Well, I'll make this fast. I've had the privilege of going to Iceland 10 times, in Scandinavian country, and they are well known for the equality of the men and women, and they are a secular society. I'm not saying that there aren't religious people. There are, but it's really very, very secular. They don't really practice any religion per se. Some people do. But the hardest thing to explain to that culture is the need for religion, because they are so self-monitoring. But what they don't realize in the hard sell is that when the prophet of God comes, she releases the energy into the world, and those people who reform to that way of thinking, it's because it's in the air. You know what I mean? It's because it's there and they've tapped into that. It's just not magically, they don't magically just come up. So that I find as the hard sell. And I just wanted to say that. But there are countries that are secular, Scandinavia in particular, that treat men and women very equally. But the most religious cultures suppress the women the most. And that's why it's so hard to sell religion too. Sorry to use the word sell, but anyway, you get the point.
So,
Okay, I was just going to say that they're religious, but they're practicing man-made religion. They're not practicing the religion that's been revealed by the manifestation of God. Yes. Edgar?
Edgar?
We have this expression, spinning your wheels. And you know what that means. When you spin your wheels, you don't go anywhere. And you made the expression, the saying that wings of one bird on one side. When you have the wings that are not equal in strength, what happens to the bird? It goes in circles.
I've seen this movie a lot of times, and on the way here, we were talking in the car about how interesting it is that in some of the current spiritual movements and the faith, there's a lot of women involved. There's a lot of women engaged. We were actually talking about, is there ways to get a higher percentage of men engaged, which I think is important. But when I was listening to the movie again this time, it kind of said like, well, naturally, women are on the forefront of this spiritual movement. So that was interesting to me to think about, naturally, women are on the, so I'll have to watch that again and think about it, because maybe with the capacities that we know that women have, that in order to make this large cultural change spiritually, maybe it does make sense in some way that there's a higher percentage of women who are on the forefront of this. And what I think is interesting, I work with a lot of organizations that have inequality of men and women at the highest levels, boards and cabinet levels, et cetera, or inequality of pay. And many of them don't want to be that anymore, but it's so built into their systems that it's just like crazy, So, but a lot of them do want to make a change. And one of the biggest changes that they can make is when women are in leadership, egalitarian things tend to happen, because just naturally of the way that kind of a more balanced or feminist, not like in the negative way to say feminine, but in a more egalitarian feminist way happens. So I wonder about this, women at the spiritual forefront. I think that's been the case in a lot of spiritual movements, not the figurehead, right, which has predominantly been male. I mean, I had a friend who once came to a Baha'i study circle because she was very, very involved with the church for a long time. And she asked to lead Bible study. And they told her, well, in this church, we prefer for that to be led by men. And this is like 2015, and she was like, you got to be kidding me. So the spiritual leaders, maybe the people at the head, have predominantly been men, but the women have been leading the world for a long time in the homes, right? So how do we pivot that? So the end of this always moves me. The art of it, the poem, how powerful the poem is, how it touches your heart. And how could we start to make more of that movement, I wonder?
And just in the interest of time and serving the goals of the conference, let's have one more and then we'll transition. Yes. And in the beginning, in Genesis 1:27, let us make man in our image and after our likeness, male and female created he them. So with this conversation will continue. So let's say it is 2:45. So we are going to, this is our pattern. We're gonna have 1 hour. So everybody can to move to the small groups. We do about 45 minutes of discussion. And about 15 minutes of arts. We're going to stay in the same groups. And so after this next section, we're actually going to move on to theme 3,
So here's the thing. We need to be back here in our seats at 3:45 and we're moving on. Okay, so
Thank you.
small groups. Group 1 is in